My father refused to walk me down the aisle because my sister, who hates me, planned a party on the same day. But he went crazy when he found out who had taken his place. My wedding day. It should have been a dream come true, but instead, it became the ultimate, gut-wrenching proof of my father's cruel favoritism and my sister's toxic jealousy. What they didn't see coming was the incredible man who stepped in when my own dad abandoned me at the altar. And my father's reaction when he found out, that still sends shivers down my spine. Growing up in Allentown, Pennsylvania, our family looked like something out of a fairy tale. A modest house, a white picket fence, mom's spring tulips, it was the picture of suburban bliss. My dad, Richard, was my hero. He was this tall, commanding man with the kindest smile, who'd sit with me every morning, telling me I had the brightest mind he'd ever seen, that I was going to change the world. He'd celebrate my straight A's with ice cream, and I just soaked up his approval. My mom, Eleanor, was the soft, warm center of our universe, balancing Dad's occasional strictness. She was a nurse, always putting us first, teaching me to bake her famous chocolate chip cookies. Those early memories are precious, I cling to them. But then, everything shattered. I was 12. Mom started getting tired. 3 months later, the diagnosis hit us like a freight train, stage 4 pancreatic cancer. 6 months later, she was gone. Just, gone. A gaping, raw wound opened in our family, one we never truly healed from. My sister, Vanessa, was 3 years older, and our relationship was always complicated. Even before Mom died, I felt her resentment. I was petite and loved books, she was athletic and excelled at sports. Mom tried to celebrate us both, but Vanessa always saw my accomplishments as a personal attack. After Mom's death, that tension boiled over. Dad buried himself in work, staying out till 9 or 10. I think it was his way of escaping the silence in our house. Vanessa, at 15, saw her opportunity. She appointed herself the new lady of the house. Dad's got enough on his plate, she'd snap when I asked about him. He has important clients. We need to be strong. I watched her transform. She cooked, though not like Mom, and took over household decisions. Dad seemed grateful for her stepping up, and their bond grew stronger. Mine with him, however, began to fray. When Dad got promoted to senior partner, it meant more money, but even less time with us. Vanessa used this masterfully. She'd spin these stories, making me out to be demanding or ungrateful. Adrian just spent $60 on art supplies, she'd tell him, conveniently forgetting it was for a school project he'd ignored. Or, Adrian said she doesn't need you at her band concert, she knows how busy you are, when I'd been counting the days, hoping he'd come. By high school, she'd crafted an entire false narrative about me for him, rebellious, ungrateful, only interested in friends. The truth. I was just retreating into art and studies, trying to cope with losing both my mother and, increasingly, my father. The ultimate betrayal came my junior year. I was nominated for a prestigious art scholarship. I reminded Dad for weeks about the award ceremony. The night before, I overheard Vanessa on the phone with him. Adrian told me she doesn't want to make a big deal about tomorrow. She said having you there might make her nervous. Maybe just send a card. The next day, I sat alone. Alone, watching other kids with their proud parents, as I accepted my award. Dad sent a text, "Congrats." He said he had an important client dinner. His assistant later told me Vanessa had called, claiming I'd rescheduled, forcing him to book something else. When I confronted her, Vanessa just shrugged. You always want all the attention. It's pathetic. At 18, I bolted. College on the other side of the state. I limited visits home to holidays, enduring Vanessa's subtle digs and my father's polite, distant nods. During my sophomore year, I met Benjamin. He was tall, with kind eyes, studying engineering. Our coffee meetup after a missed lecture turned into a 3-hour conversation. Within a month, we were inseparable. Benjamin's family, his mom, Laura, his dad, Henry, his younger brother, Noah, they immediately embraced me. They brought me into their warm, boisterous home as if I'd always belonged. Benjamin became my rock. He understood my family issues without judgment, held me when holiday visits left me in tears, and celebrated my achievements when my own father didn't. After graduation, we moved to Philadelphia, building our careers and our life together. Far from the shadow of my family drama, I maintained only obligatory monthly calls with my father. Vanessa, working in real estate, still in our hometown, continued to position herself as the good daughter, always reminding me she was the one taking care of Dad. By 27, I was a marketing executive. Benjamin was thriving in his field. Our life was fulfilling. The wounds from my past remained, but I had built a new life, a life where I felt truly valued and loved. Benjamin proposed on our 5th anniversary. He planned the most perfect day, revisiting all our firsts. When dessert arrived, so did a small velvet box. Adrian, he said, taking my hands, you've made these past 5 years the best of my life. Your creativity, your kindness, your strength, they amaze me. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Will you marry me? The ring was a vintage sapphire, unique, like he said, like my artistic spirit. In that moment of pure joy, I didn't let the anxieties about my family creep in. Just for one perfect evening, I wanted to be happy. The next morning, I called my father. After our usual brief pleasantries, I took a deep breath. Dad, Benjamin proposed last night, and I said yes. A beat too long of silence. Well, congratulations, he finally said. His tone. Like I'd told him about a minor work achievement. No excitement. No questions about the proposal. Just practical inquiries. Not yet, I replied, disappointment clawing at my throat. We're thinking maybe next summer. Let me know when you decide. I should check my calendar. That was it. After hanging up, I fought back tears. Benjamin found me. He'll come around, he assured me, but even he didn't sound convinced. Vanessa's reaction was even more telling. I texted her the news, a photo of the ring. Her reply was sickly sweet, overly congratulatory. OMG, congrats, little sis. So happy for you. That ring is so pretty. The excessive exclamation points couldn't hide the seething jealousy I knew was there. Vanessa, at 32, had been through a string of short-lived relationships, never finding someone to commit long-term. Despite my family's lukewarm response, we pressed on. We picked June 15th, giving us 9 months. My father even sounded enthusiastic during our next call. I've put it in my calendar, he said. Vanessa mentioned it too. Actually, Dad, I ventured carefully, I was hoping you'd walk me down the aisle. Another pause. But this time, when he spoke, his voice held genuine emotion. I'd be honored, Adrian. That single moment of connection, that glimmer of hope, made me believe perhaps my wedding could heal some of the distance between us. The months that followed were a blur of planning. We found a beautiful historic hotel in Philadelphia. Benjamin's mom, Laura, was my saving grace, joining me for appointments, offering advice without being overbearing. You're going to be the most beautiful bride, she told me during my first dress fitting, tears in her eyes as I emerged in a fitted lace gown. In that moment, I felt my own mother's absence acutely, but Laura sensed it, squeezing my hand gently. Your mom would be so proud of the woman you've become. I also grew closer to Benjamin's uncle, Jack, Laura's brother-in-law. Jack was a retired English professor, kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. He had no children of his own, but doted on Benjamin and Noah. He'd engage me in thoughtful conversations about books, art, my marketing work. He listened. Truly listened. You have a remarkable eye for what moves people, he said after I showed him a campaign. That's a rare gift. His genuine enthusiasm for my life was a stark contrast to my own family. My father would confirm his attendance, but never asked about the plans. Vanessa declined to be a bridesmaid, citing work, though she said she'd attend. Then, 5 months before the wedding, I started seeing troubling signs. Vanessa began posting vague comments on social media about a big event she was planning. When I called, she was evasive. Just something for work. Nothing for you to worry about. But as our date approached, I saw more posts, venue scouting, catering options, mentioning June as a target. A knot of anxiety started to form in my stomach, but I tried to push it down. The bombshell dropped exactly 3 months before our wedding day. Vanessa called me on a Sunday afternoon, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. Adrian, I wanted to let you know personally before you see it on social media. I'm hosting a career achievement party on June 15th. I've finally hit my sales target to become a broker, and the firm is throwing me a huge celebration. My blood ran cold. Vanessa, that's my wedding day. You got the save the date card 8 months ago. She feigned surprise. Did I? Oh, it must have slipped my mind. Anyway, it's just a coincidence. My event is earlier, starting at 11 a.m. at the country club. It should be winding down when your ceremony starts at 4 o'clock, so it works out perfectly. Perfectly. I repeated, my voice rising. You're scheduling a party on my wedding day, knowing Dad will have to choose. Dad can attend both, she replied, smooth as silk. He's so proud of my achievement. But I'm sure he'll make it to your wedding, too. It's not that far a drive. The country club was 2 hours away. It was physically impossible. I immediately called my father. Dad, Did you know Vanessa scheduled her work party on my wedding day? Yes, she mentioned it, he said casually. Unfortunate timing, but these work events are hard to reschedule. It's a big achievement for her. But Dad, how will you attend both? You're supposed to walk me down the aisle. I'll make it work, Adrian. I'll go to the first part of Vanessa's event, then drive over for your ceremony. No need to make this a bigger issue. But as the weeks passed, I could feel him wavering. He'd mention traffic, ask if we could push the ceremony back, wonder if he really needed to be there for pre-wedding photos. Despite the growing tension, our plans marched on. Final fittings, photographer meetings, flower arrangements. Benjamin and his family remained supportive, though I could tell they were worried about my father's commitment. Then, 2 weeks before the wedding, the call came. My worst fears confirmed. It was Tuesday evening. My phone rang. It was my father. Adrian, he began, his voice uncomfortable, I need to talk to you about the wedding. I've been thinking about the logistics for June 15th, and I don't think I can make it to the ceremony on time. Vanessa's event is really important to her career, and as her father, I need to be there for the whole thing. The timing just doesn't work out. I gripped the phone, fighting to keep my voice steady. You're choosing not to walk me down the aisle at my wedding. It's not about choosing, he said defensively. It's about practical timing. Vanessa's event is earlier, and I can't be in 2 places at once. Maybe you could ask Benjamin's father to walk you down the aisle, or your friend's dad. I'm sure someone else can do it. Someone else. As if walking his daughter down the aisle was an interchangeable task, delegable to a stranger. I see, I managed, my voice barely a whisper. I'll still come to the reception, he added, as if offering a generous compromise. I should be able to make it by 7 or so, depending on traffic. After mumbling goodbye, I dropped the phone. I collapsed onto the floor, sobbing. Benjamin found me 20 minutes later. He rushed to my side. He's not coming, I choked out. He's choosing Vanessa's party over walking me down the aisle. Benjamin held me tight, his own anger evident in his tense shoulders. I'm so sorry, Adrian. He doesn't deserve you. That night, Benjamin gently suggested postponing the wedding. We could move it to another date. Give your dad no excuse not to be there. The thought had crossed my mind, but something inside me rebelled. No, I said firmly. I'm not rearranging our wedding because of Vanessa's manipulations. That's exactly what she wants. The next day, Laura, Benjamin's mom, called. She immediately sensed something was wrong, and I poured out the whole story. Oh, sweetheart, she said, her voice filled with motherly concern. I cannot believe your father would do this to you. I don't know what to do, I admitted. Part of me wants to beg him to reconsider, but I know that's what Vanessa expects. She wants me to seem desperate. Listen to me, Laura said firmly. This is your day, yours and Benjamin's. Don't let anyone diminish it. Your father is making a choice he will regret for the rest of his life, but that is his burden to bear, not yours. Her words gave me strength, but the question remained, who would walk me down the aisle? It had been a dream, despite our difficult relationship. The thought of walking alone felt like a public acknowledgement of his rejection. Later that week, Jack, Benjamin's uncle, called. Benjamin told me what happened, he said gently. I hope you don't mind him sharing. Of course not, I replied, touched. I know this is a difficult time, Jack continued. Family disappointments cut the deepest. His tone suggested personal experience. It sounds like you understand. More than you might guess. My own father never forgave me for choosing literature instead of the family business. Some wounds never fully heal, but we learn to build beautiful lives despite them. His wisdom brought fresh tears to my eyes. Thank you for understanding, Jack. Anytime, dear. And remember, family isn't just about blood. It's about who shows up for you when it matters. 1 week before the wedding, I hit rock bottom. Despite excited emails from friends, final vendor confirmations, I found myself sitting on our bathroom floor at midnight, overwhelmed. The wedding was perfect, except for the gaping hole left by my father's absence. The next morning, Benjamin suggested I meet his mom for lunch. Laura was waiting at a quiet table. Benjamin is worried about you, she said, squeezing my hand. We all are. I'm trying to be strong, I replied. I keep telling myself it doesn't matter, that I'm better off without Dad there. But then I think about walking into the ceremony alone, and I just feel abandoned. Laura finished softly, it's okay to feel that way, Adrian. What your father is doing is wrong, and you have every right to be hurt. As we picked at our salads, Laura gathered her thoughts. There's something I think you should know, she finally said. Something about Jack that might help you understand why he called you. I looked up, curious. What about him? Jack is actually my late husband's brother. When I met Henry, Jack was already estranged from their parents. Their father was a very rigid man, never forgave Jack for choosing academia over the family construction business. I nodded, remembering Jack's comment. What you might not know is that I was married once before Henry, Laura continued. A brief, unfortunate union when I was very young. When I decided to marry Henry, my father refused to attend. He said it would embarrass him. That's terrible, I murmured. It was Jack who offered to walk me down the aisle, she said, a small smile forming. He understood what it was like to be rejected by a parent. He told me, Laura, you deserve to be given away by someone who celebrates your happiness, not someone who judges it. Her story resonated deeply. I had no idea. He never had children of his own, Laura continued, but he's been the most wonderful uncle to Benjamin and Noah. He attends every school play, every graduation. She didn't say it directly, but the idea began to form. Do you think, I started hesitantly, would it be inappropriate to ask Jack if he would walk me down the aisle? Laura's eyes filled with tears. Oh, sweetheart, I think it would mean the world to him. But this has to be your decision. I spent the next day turning the idea over in my mind. Jack had always shown genuine interest, always been kind. There was something poetic about being walked down the aisle by someone who truly understood parental rejection. That evening, I called Jack. We met at a bookstore cafe. He was already there, 2 coffees waiting. I took the liberty of ordering your usual, he said with a warm smile. Vanilla latte with an extra shot. Right? The fact he remembered such a small detail confirmed everything. After some small talk, I gathered my courage. Jack, there's something I wanted to ask you. He put down his coffee, giving me his full attention. Anything, Adrian. I don't know if Benjamin told you, but my father has decided not to walk me down the aisle. The words still hurt. Jack nodded solemnly. Benjamin mentioned there was some conflict. I'm truly sorry. I took a deep breath. Laura told me how you walked her down the aisle at her wedding to Henry, and how meaningful that was to her. I was wondering. I would be honored if you would consider doing the same for me. Jack's expression shifted. From surprise, to profound emotion. His eyes glistened. Adrian, he finally said, his voice thick, I cannot tell you what this means to me. Are you certain? This should be a special moment. I am absolutely certain, I replied, feeling more confident by the second. You have shown me more genuine interest and support in the years I've known you than my father has in a decade. I would be proud to have you walk me down the aisle. Jack reached across the table and took my hand. Then I accept, with all my heart. It would be one of the greatest honors of my life. The crushing weight I'd carried for weeks suddenly lifted. Jack was right. Family was about who showed up, not just shared DNA. The final days before the wedding were a whirlwind. Vendor confirmations, welcome bags, out-of-town guests arriving. Through it all, I felt a new sense of peace. I made one last attempt to reach my father, 3 days before. Dad, I just wanted to confirm if you're still planning to come to the reception. Yes, I should be able to make it after Vanessa's event, he replied, sounding distracted. Probably around 7:30 or 8. I swallowed hard. I also wanted you to know that I've asked Benjamin's uncle, Jack, to walk me down the aisle. A pause. Who? Jack Harris. Benjamin's uncle. He's been very supportive. I see. His tone was unreadable. Well, I suppose someone has to do it if I can't be there on time. His dismissive response only solidified my decision. The night before the wedding, at the rehearsal dinner, Jack looked distinguished in his charcoal suit. During his toast, he raised his glass. To Adrian and Benjamin. True love is not just about finding the right person, but also about creating a family of choice that supports and celebrates you. I am deeply honored to play a small role in your special day. Later that evening, checking social media, I saw Vanessa's posts about her career celebration. The photo showed her apartment, maybe a dozen people. Not the grand corporate event she described. A regular house party, scheduled deliberately to conflict. The knowledge should have hurt, but instead, I felt a strange clarity. The scales had finally fallen from my eyes. Her jealousy ran so deep she'd sabotage one of the most important days of my life out of pure spite. I closed the app. Tomorrow would be about love, not family drama. I awoke on my wedding day to sunshine. My bridesmaids, my college and work friends, arrived with coffee and pastries. The hairstylist and makeup artist got to work. As Sophia had her hair done, my phone chimed. A text from my father. Good luck today. Vanessa's event starts at 11 o'clock. If it wraps up early, I might be able to make it to the reception by 7 or 8. Save me some cake. Not a word of regret. Not even, I love you. Just a reminder of his priority. I handed the phone to Zoe. She read it, shook her head. He's unbelievable. Try not to let it ruin your day. Around noon, a knock at the door. Jack. Dressed immaculately in his tuxedo, holding a small gift box. I hope I'm not intruding, he said. I just wanted to drop this off for Adrian. I invited him in. The bridesmaids moved to the bedroom. You look absolutely radiant, Jack said, his eyes crinkling. Benjamin is a very fortunate young man. Thank you for coming by, and for everything else, Jack. He handed me the box. I wanted you to have this today. It belonged to my mother. Something old, something blue. Inside was a delicate vintage handkerchief, embroidered with tiny blue flowers. My mother carried it on her wedding day in 1930. I thought perhaps you might like to have it with you. Tears welled in my eyes. It's beautiful, Jack. I'd be honored. There's one more thing, he added, reaching into his pocket. Laura asked me to give you this. It was meant to be a surprise. A small velvet pouch. Inside, a delicate silver bracelet with a single charm, a paintbrush crossed with a pen. She remembered you telling her how you loved both writing and painting as a child. She wanted you to have a reminder of your creative spirit. The thoughtfulness overwhelmed me. These people, who had no obligation to me by blood, showed more care for my happiness than my own family ever had. Please thank her for me, I managed, fastening the bracelet. I'll thank her properly later, but this means so much. Jack nodded. I should let you get ready. I'll see you before the ceremony. As the afternoon progressed, I focused on the joy. My bridesmaids helped me into my lace gown. My hair swept up, my mother's pearl earrings, Laura's bracelet, Jack's handkerchief tucked into my bouquet. I was ready. At 3:30, the photographer came. Then another knock. Laura. Oh, Adrian, she breathed, tears in her eyes. You are absolutely stunning. She hugged me gently. Jack is waiting in the lobby whenever you're ready. 10 minutes before 4, I walked to the garden terrace. Through the glass doors, I could see our 90 guests, the floral arch where Benjamin waited, the string quartet playing softly. Jack was in the anteroom, looking nervous but composed. When he saw me, his expression was pure pride. Ready? He asked gently. I nodded, too emotional to speak. Jack offered his arm. As the first notes of Pachelbel's canon in D began, the doors opened. Walking down the aisle with Jack, a curious blend of emotions washed over me. There was a pang of sadness for my father's absence, but it was drowned out by immense gratitude for the man who stepped in with such grace. Benjamin's face as I approached, it was worth every moment of planning, every family drama, every tear. His eyes shone with love and wonder. In that moment, I knew we were creating our own family, built on mutual respect and genuine care. The ceremony was everything I'd hoped for. We exchanged vows, promising to support each other's dreams, communicate honestly, and choose each other every day. When we were pronounced husband and wife, the applause felt like a warm embrace. The cocktail hour and dinner were filled with laughter, toasts, dancing. Benjamin's father gave a heartfelt speech. Jack's toast brought happy tears to many eyes. By 8:30, it was clear my father wouldn't even make the reception. I tried not to let it dampen my spirits as Benjamin and I shared our first dance. As the evening progressed, my cousin Thomas arrived, looking flustered. He was my mother's nephew, and one of the few family members who stayed in touch with both Vanessa and me. After a hug, I commented on his late arrival. I'm so sorry, he said, looking genuinely apologetic. I stopped by Vanessa's event first, thinking I could make both. But Adrian, there's something you should know. He guided me to a quiet corner, his expression serious. That party Vanessa had today. It wasn't what she told everyone. It wasn't a work event at all. My stomach tightened. What do you mean? It was just a regular gathering at her apartment. Maybe 15 people. Mostly her gym friends. No company recognition, no achievement celebration. I asked her colleague Sarah about the broker promotion and she looked completely confused. The implications were staggering. So she lied about the whole thing just to create a conflict with my wedding. Thomas nodded grimly. That's not all. I overheard her talking to your dad. She's been telling him for months that you didn't really want him at the wedding, that you only asked him to walk you down the aisle out of obligation. What? That's completely false. I know. And there's more. Thomas pulled out his phone. He showed me a text exchange with Vanessa from months earlier. In it, she openly admitted to scheduling her party on my wedding day deliberately. She wanted to force my dad to choose. She claimed I had said horrible things about him to the family. The revelation was both shocking and validating. All these years, I'd thought I was paranoid about Vanessa's manipulations. Here was proof. She had been actively sabotaging my relationship with our father. Does Dad know any of this? I asked. Thomas shook his head. I don't think so. I tried to tell him today, but Vanessa kept interrupting. I hugged my cousin, grateful. Thank you for telling me, Thomas. At least now I know the truth. I rejoined Benjamin on the dance floor, pushing thoughts of my sister and father aside. This day was about our love, our future, not the painful past. The reception was winding down around 10:30, with only about 40 guests remaining, when I saw a commotion near the entrance. My heart skipped a beat. My father. He entered the ballroom, looking uncomfortable in a suit that seemed hastily put on. Benjamin noticed him too. Do you want me to run interference? I shook my head. No, I need to handle this. My father approached awkwardly, holding a small gift bag. Congratulations, he said stiffly, leaning in for an equally stiff hug. Sorry I'm late. Vanessa's thing ran longer than expected. The casual way he referenced missing my entire wedding ceremony made my blood boil, but I maintained my composure. I'm glad you could make it for the last hour of the reception. If he detected the sarcasm, he didn't acknowledge it. He glanced around the room. It looks like it was a nice wedding, he commented, as if discussing a movie he'd missed. It was beautiful, I replied. Perfect, actually. An uncomfortable silence fell before he thrust the gift bag toward me. This is from Vanessa and me. A set of crystal wine glasses. Thank you, I said, setting the bag aside. Would you like a drink? The bar is still open. He nodded. As the bartender prepared his scotch, my father finally asked, So, who ended up walking you down the aisle? Jack Harris, I replied. Benjamin's uncle. My father frowned slightly. The older gentleman in the navy tuxedo, the one who gave that toast earlier. I nodded. Yes, that's him. You had a stranger walk you down the aisle. His tone was incredulous. He's not a stranger to me, I said firmly. He's been part of Benjamin's family for years, and he's shown more interest in my life and happiness than you have in a very long time. My father's face flushed with anger. That's not fair, Adrian. I've always supported you. Have you? I challenged, years of hurt finally bubbling to the surface. You missed my art scholarship ceremony because Vanessa told you I didn't want you there. You forgot my college graduation dinner until Benjamin's parents reminded you. And now you skipped my wedding ceremony for Vanessa's fake party. Fake party? What are you talking about? At that moment, Thomas approached. Uncle Richard, I'm glad you made it. My father nodded curtly. Thomas, what is this Adrian is saying about Vanessa's party being fake? Thomas looked between us, clearly realizing he'd walked into a tense conversation. I was just telling Adrian earlier. The party today was not a work event. It was just a regular get-together at Vanessa's apartment. That cannot be right, my father insisted. Vanessa said it was for her broker promotion. The firm was sponsoring it. I asked her colleague Sarah about it, Thomas replied calmly. There was no promotion, no company event. It was just a party Vanessa planned on the same day as Adrienne's wedding. My father's expression shifted from disbelief to confusion. Before he could respond, Jack approached. Adrian, Benjamin is looking for you. I believe it's almost time for the sparkler send-off. My father stared at Jack with barely concealed hostility. You must be the uncle who walked my daughter down the aisle. Jack extended his hand politely. Jack Harris. You must be Richard. It's good to finally meet you. My father ignored the outstretched hand. I don't understand why my daughter needed to have a stranger take my place at her wedding. Dad, stop it. I hissed, mortified. Jack remained composed. I can understand your confusion. It was an honor to support Adrian on her special day, especially knowing how important the ceremony was to her. Important to her, my father scoffed. If it was so important, she could have scheduled it on a day that didn't conflict with her sister's event. My wedding was scheduled 9 months ago, I interjected. Vanessa deliberately planned her party for the same day, and Thomas has proof of it. Thomas reluctantly showed my father the text messages. My father read them, his face growing increasingly pale. This cannot be right, he muttered. Vanessa would not do this. She has been doing it for years, Dad, I said, my voice breaking. She's been deliberately driving a wedge between us since Mom died. She lied to you about me not wanting you at my art ceremony, about me not caring if you came to my graduation dinner, and now about me not really wanting you to walk me down the aisle. My father looked genuinely shocked. She told me you said having me walk you down the aisle would be embarrassing because we're not close anymore. She said you only asked out of obligation. That is absolutely not true, I insisted. I wanted you there. I have always wanted you in my life. The realization seemed to hit my father all at once. Years of manipulation suddenly becoming clear. His expression shifted from confusion to anger. I need to speak with Vanessa, he said sharply, pulling out his phone. Not now, please, I pleaded. This is my wedding reception. But he was already dialing, stepping away from us. Jack placed a gentle hand on my shoulder. I'm so sorry about this, Adrian. Should I get Benjamin? I nodded gratefully, overwhelmed. Jack disappeared, returning moments later with my new husband. Benjamin took in the situation, quickly putting a protective arm around me. What happened? Before I could explain, my father returned, his face flushed. Vanessa hung up on me. I'm going to her apartment right now to get the truth. Dad, please, I said. Can this wait until tomorrow? I need to know if what you are saying is true, he insisted. If Vanessa has been lying to me all these years, she has, Thomas confirmed quietly. I'm sorry, Uncle Richard, but it's true. My father looked at me, then at Jack, who was standing supportively beside Benjamin and me. Something about seeing us together seemed to trigger a fresh wave of anger. So you replaced me with him? He demanded, gesturing toward Jack. Some random old man you barely know. Jack stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. Mr. Evans, I understand you are upset, but this is neither the time nor place for this conversation. Today is about Adrian and Benjamin's marriage, not about past grievances. Don't tell me what this day is about, my father snapped. She is my daughter. Then perhaps you should have acted like her father, Jack replied evenly. Being a father means showing up, not just when it's convenient, but when it matters most. The simple truth of Jack's words hit my father like a physical blow. He stared at Jack, then at me. His anger suddenly deflated into something that looked almost like shame. I need to go, he said abruptly. I need to talk to Vanessa. Without another word, he turned and strode out of the ballroom, leaving an uncomfortable silence in his wake. Benjamin pulled me close. Are you okay? I nodded, though tears threatened. I just wish he could have seen the truth sooner. Jack's steady presence was comforting. Family revelations are never easy, Adrian, but sometimes they are necessary for healing to begin. Laura and Henry joined us. Laura hugged me tightly. Don't let this overshadow your beautiful day. You and Benjamin deserve all the happiness in the world. We rejoined the remaining guests for the sparkler send-off, creating a magical tunnel of light. As Benjamin and I ran through to our waiting car, despite the confrontation with my father, I felt a curious sense of peace. The truth was finally out in the open. And whatever happened next, I had a new family who truly valued me. Benjamin and I spent 2 blissful weeks honeymooning in Greece. The distance allowed me to process everything. I had turned off notifications from my father and Vanessa, determined to enjoy this special time. But when we returned to our apartment, reality was waiting in my voicemails and emails. 5 messages from my father, each more apologetic. The final one, left 3 days before our return, was raw. Adrian, I don't know if you're listening to these messages, but I need to tell you that you were right about Vanessa. After the wedding, I went to her apartment and confronted her. She denied everything, but when I pressed her, she finally admitted the truth. She has been manipulating both of us for years, telling me you didn't want me in your life while telling you I was too busy for you. I cannot believe I was so blind. I understand if you never want to speak to me again, but I hope someday you will give me a chance to make this right. I am so sorry I missed your wedding. It was unforgivable. There were no messages from Vanessa, only a cold email stating she was taking time away from family drama and traveling for work indefinitely. I sat on our couch, staring at my phone. Benjamin sat beside me, holding my hand in silence. What are you thinking? He finally asked. I don't know, I admitted. Part of me feels vindicated that Dad finally sees the truth. But another part is just sad for all the years we lost. Do you want to call him back? I considered it carefully. Not yet. I need some time to figure out what I want this relationship to look like going forward, if I even want one at all. The next few weeks were busy with thank you notes, returning to work, settling into married life. I maintained contact with Benjamin's family, especially Jack, who called every Sunday evening. "How are you doing, Adrian?" he'd ask, his voice warm with genuine concern. Our conversations ranged from books to work to deeper discussions about family and forgiveness. Jack never pressured me about reconnecting with my father, but his own experiences offered valuable perspective. "Forgiveness is not about excusing the behavior," he told me one call. "It is about freeing yourself from the burden of resentment. Whatever you decide about your relationship with your father, make sure it brings you peace." A month after our return, I finally called my father. We met at a neutral cafe. He was already there, looking older, more tired. He stood awkwardly as I approached. "Adrian, thank you for coming," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "I don't even know where to begin," he said after our coffees arrived. "I failed you so completely." "Yes, you did," I agreed, not willing to sugarcoat the truth. "But I want to understand. How did you not see what Vanessa was doing all these years?" He sighed heavily. "After your mother died, I was lost. Vanessa stepped up, and I was grateful. It was easier to believe her version of events than to face my own grief and inadequacy as a single parent. She became my connection to you, filtering everything. By the time you left for college, I believed her narrative that you were pulling away from the family." "I never wanted to pull away from you," I said. "I just couldn't handle Vanessa's constant manipulation." "I understand that now," he replied. "After the wedding, she finally admitted everything. She has been jealous of our relationship since you were a child. She felt I always favored you. After your mother died, she saw an opportunity to have me all to herself. Have you spoken to her since?" He shook his head. "She left for Florida the day after I confronted her. She refuses to discuss what happened. I don't know when, or if, she'll come back." We talked for nearly 3 hours, going through painful memories. There were tears on both sides, recriminations, and eventually, the beginnings of understanding. "I want to try to rebuild our relationship," my father said as we prepared to leave. "I know I don't deserve another chance, but if you're willing, I'd like to get to know the amazing woman you've become." "I need to think about it," I replied honestly. "This is not something we can fix in one conversation." He nodded, accepting my boundary. "Take all the time you need. I'll be here when you're ready." Over the following months, we began a careful reconciliation. Weekly phone calls became regular visits. I introduced him properly to Benjamin's family, including Jack, who displayed remarkable grace in welcoming my father despite their awkward first meeting. 3 months after our first reunion, my father suggested a family dinner at his home, including Benjamin's parents and Jack. It was a tentative step toward blending our families. While there were awkward moments, there was also genuine effort. After dinner, I found my father and Jack in the living room, deep in conversation. "I want to thank you for being there for Adrian when I wasn't," my father was saying. "Walking her down the aisle should have been my privilege, but you did it with honor." Jack nodded thoughtfully. "She is a remarkable young woman. You should be very proud of who she has become, largely through her own strength and determination." "I am," my father agreed. "I just wish I had been more present to see it happening." Their conversation gave me hope that perhaps the wounds of the past could truly heal. Vanessa remained distant, sending impersonal texts or holiday cards, but avoiding any real conversation. I came to accept that some relationships might never be repaired, and that was okay. 6 months after the wedding, we hosted our first Thanksgiving. Our table was filled with Benjamin's family, my father, cousin Thomas, and a few close friends. Vanessa was invited but declined. As we went around the table sharing what we were thankful for, my father's voice broke. "I am thankful for second chances," he said simply. "And for a daughter whose capacity for forgiveness humbles me every day." When it was Jack's turn, he smiled warmly. "I am thankful for the reminder that family is created through love and choice, not just biology. And I am especially thankful to have gained another niece in Adrian, whose courage and grace inspire me." On our 1-year anniversary, Benjamin and I held a small dinner party. Jack surprised us with a toast that brought tears to my eyes. 1 year ago, I had the privilege of walking this beautiful young woman down the aisle. What began as a heartfelt gesture has become one of the greatest gifts of my life, the opportunity to be part of Adrian and Benjamin's journey. May your marriage continue to grow in strength and joy. And may you always remember that true family consists of those who choose to love you, even when it is difficult. As I reflect on the journey, I realize that sometimes life's greatest wounds can lead to unexpected healing. My father's absence on my wedding day led to Jack's presence, which in turn created a bridge for my father's return to my life. The family I have now includes both those I was born to and those I have chosen. All imperfect, all valuable. I've learned that forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or excusing harmful behavior. It means freeing yourself from the burden of resentment and creating boundaries that protect your heart while allowing for growth and change. The father who walks you down the aisle should indeed be someone who has walked beside you through life's challenges, supporting and loving you unconditionally. Sometimes that person shares your DNA, and sometimes they come into your life through other paths. What matters most is not who stands beside you on one important day, but who shows up for all the ordinary days that follow. I am fortunate to have found my tribe, the people who choose me every day, just as I choose them.